In the largest city of the planet Vorinth, the skies looked almost purple in the morning light. It was a special day for the Galactic Council. The Council only met once a year, and this time, for the first time in history, humans had been invited to join. Their ship had landed quietly at the edge of the spaceport. Only a few people even noticed when the humans walked into the council building. Noah was one of those humans. He was tall, with short brown hair, and wore a dark blue uniform that made him look more serious than he felt. Beside him walked Mira, his teammate. She was sharp, with kind eyes and a soft voice. They both carried small translation devices in their pockets, just in case. The rest of the human delegation followed close behind, all trying to look confident, even though they felt like outsiders. The council building was huge, full of bright lights and shining floors. Statues of famous aliens lined the halls. Noah saw dozens of different species moving around, all speaking their own languages. There were Zellerans, tall and thin, their skin almost silver. There were Arvians, who had feathers instead of hair. There were even Fendari, who looked like small, blue bears with big, wise eyes. Every species looked at the humans as they walked by, some with curiosity, some with annoyance. The humans were led to the back of the main hall. Their seats were far from the center, close to the doors and away from the important tables. Noah noticed this, but he didn't say anything. Mira simply smiled, pretending not to care. They sat down quietly, pulling out their notes and checking their devices. As the council meeting began, the main ambassador, a Zelleran named Velen, stood in the middle of the chamber. He wore a long robe covered with medals. His voice echoed through the room, but he spoke in his own language, which most of the species there understood. Only humans were new to this language, or so everyone thought. Velen started by welcoming everyone, but quickly his speech turned to the newest members, the humans. He looked at them and then turned away, speaking to his own people. His words were sharp, but he smiled politely as if saying something kind. Noah listened closely, using his translation device in his ear. What he heard made his stomach twist. "These humans, so eager to join us," Velen said. "Do they even understand what we're saying? They look lost. Perhaps their world is too simple for these matters." His friends laughed softly. The sound was like glass bells, but the meaning was cold. Other alien leaders joined in, adding their own jokes in different languages. The Arvian leader, speaking in fast, fluttery words, said, "At least they wear nice uniforms. That is more than I expected from a planet of farmers." Again, laughter moved around the chamber. Noah saw some of the human team shifting in their seats, trying not to react. Mira leaned over and whispered, "Just listen. We're here to learn. Don't give them what they want." Noah nodded, gripping the armrest tightly. He watched the faces of the aliens. Most were enjoying themselves, but a few looked uncomfortable, glancing at the humans and then away. As the jokes continued, Noah's mind drifted back to his years of study. He had always loved languages. As a boy on Earth, he learned Spanish, and French, then Chinese, and even a little Russian. When he joined the Galactic Exploration Program, he dedicated himself to alien languages. At first, everyone thought it was a waste of time. "Just use a translator," people would say. But Noah wanted more. He wanted to think in those languages, to understand how aliens really saw the world. That was why he had come to Vorinth, and why he had brought Mira. She was an engineer, but also a genius with codes and signals. Together, they had spent the long trip to Vorinth building a translator that could listen, learn, and speak almost any language in real time. It was not perfect, but it was better than anything the Council expected from humans. While the Council mocked the humans, Noah quietly activated his device, recording every word, every laugh, every small insult. He did not feel angry. Instead, He felt a cold, quiet determination grow inside him. After the welcome speeches, the council moved on to other business. Noah kept listening, translating everything. He learned about trade deals, old alliances, and even rumors of a new war on the edge of the galaxy. But again and again, the topic would return to the humans. "Why are they here?" someone asked in a low voice. "What do they want?" another replied. "Let's just ignore them. They won't last long." As the day went on, the humans were mostly ignored. When they tried to speak, the chairperson said, "We will hear from Earth at the end, if there is time." Noah tried not to let it bother him. Mira spent her time improving their translator, typing notes on her small screen. At lunch, the human team sat together at a small table while the other species gathered in groups. They ate quietly. Noah watched as Velen and the Arvian leader stood together, speaking softly in Zelleran. They kept glancing at the humans and laughing. Mira looked up from her plate and said, "We're not here to be liked. We're here to prove we belong." She was right. Noah took a deep breath and decided to make the most of the time. He used his device to record the background conversations, hoping to catch anything important. That afternoon, the council met again. This time, the chairperson announced, "Tomorrow, we will discuss trade and alliances. Only full members may vote." The humans were still only guests, not yet given the right to vote. Noah wondered if they ever would be. After the meeting, Noah and Mira walked back to their rooms in silence. The halls were quieter now. Some of the aliens passed by, still whispering about the humans. One Fendari, smaller than the rest, stopped and nodded at Noah. "Don't listen to them," he said quietly, in perfect English. "Every species was new once. Just keep watching." Then he hurried away, disappearing into the crowd. In their room, Mira sat at her desk, spreading out her notes and fixing their translator. Noah sat across from her, watching the city lights outside the window. "I know it hurts," Mira said softly, "but tomorrow, we have to show them what we can do. We can't let them walk all over us." Noah nodded. "We won't. But we also can't lose control. If we fight back the wrong way, they'll just say we're too emotional or violent." Mira smiled. "We don't have to fight. We just have to be smarter." They worked late into the night, going over every language, every dialect, every idiom they had learned. Noah practiced speaking in Zelleran, then Arvian, then even the rough language of the Yerek, a species known for their harsh words. Mira checked the device, running tests and fixing bugs. By midnight, they felt ready. Outside, the city was quiet. The purple sky had turned dark, with 2 moons shining above. In the distance, the council building glowed with blue lights. Noah stood by the window thinking about everything that had happened. He remembered how humans had always been underestimated, first by other nations on Earth, and now by the galaxy. But he also remembered how humans always found a way. They learned, they adapted, and they never gave up. Tomorrow, Noah decided, would be different. He would not let the aliens' words stop him. Instead, he would use their own language to show them just how much humans could do. He turned away from the window and looked at Mira. She was already asleep, her head resting on her arm. Noah smiled and sat down, quietly practicing his words for tomorrow. He knew the aliens thought humans were weak and simple, but they had no idea what was coming. As Noah closed his eyes, he felt a small spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, humans would prove themselves, not by fighting, but by understanding. Noah woke up early, even before the 2 suns of Vorinth had risen. He could not sleep well after the events of the first council day. As the room grew brighter with the morning light, he sat up and looked out the window at the city below. Buildings twisted high into the sky, and shuttles moved quietly through the air. For a moment, it all seemed peaceful. But Noah knew the real challenge had not even begun. He glanced over at Mira, who was already awake and checking their translation device. She looked tired, but determined. "We need to double-check the Iraq dialect," she said softly. "The council's main secretary is Iraq, and I heard he doesn't like humans." Noah nodded. He was not afraid. Instead, he felt something new, a sense of purpose. He thought of every word, every joke, every insult he had heard yesterday. The council believed humans were clueless, but today he and Mira would prove them wrong. The human team ate breakfast together, talking quietly. They reviewed notes about the other species, repeating phrases in different languages. Noah made sure everyone felt ready. Even though most of the team could not speak the alien languages well, they trusted Noah and Mira to represent them. The walk to the council building felt different this morning. Yesterday, they were nervous and ignored. Today, they carried a silent confidence. Other species still stared at them, but Noah didn't look away. He simply smiled and nodded at those who met his eyes. Inside the main hall, the mood was busier than before. Council members talked loudly in their own languages, filling the air with a strange music of sounds and tones. The human delegation went to their seats in the back, but this time they looked calm and prepared. Noah checked his translator one more time. Mira handed him a small earpiece and said, "This version is even better. It updates in real time. If you get lost, just slow down and let the device catch up." He put in the earpiece and gave her a quick thumbs up. As the meeting began, the chairperson, a tall Arvian with bright green feathers, spoke first. She welcomed everyone, then gave a short report in her own language about recent council news. Noah listened closely. The device worked perfectly, repeating her words in English in his ear. He felt a small wave of pride for Mira's hard work. Next, the Iraq secretary spoke. He had a rough, growling voice and looked down his nose at the humans. He gave updates about council security and trade, but also made a few short comments about new members not knowing the rules. Noah understood every word, and so did Mira. When it was time for open discussion, Ambassador Velen took the floor, again. His voice was full of confidence. He switched between Zelleran and 3 other languages as he spoke, hoping to confuse the humans. Noah just listened, making notes and translating in his head. Mira whispered some jokes under her breath, which made Noah smile. She was never afraid to laugh, even when things were serious. Suddenly, the conversation changed. One of the Clintar, a species with 4 arms and bright orange skin, spoke loudly. "Humans, do you understand what is happening here? Or do you just watch and wait?" His voice echoed around the chamber, and some aliens laughed again. Noah looked at Mira, then stood up slowly. The hall grew quiet. He cleared his throat, then answered in perfect Clintar. "We understand more than you think. We are here to listen and to learn, just like everyone else." Every head in the room turned. The Clintar's eyes went wide with shock. He tried to respond, but Noah replied again, this time in Iraq, addressing the secretary directly. "Thank you for your report. We appreciate the hard work you do for the council." The Iraq secretary stared at Noah, unable to hide his surprise. For a few seconds, the hall was silent. Then the Arvian chairperson said in her language, "It seems the humans have been studying. Perhaps we have underestimated them." Noah sat down, feeling his heart beat faster. Mira squeezed his arm. "You did great," she whispered. "Now they know we are not simple." But the surprises were not over. The discussion turned to trade, and one of the Zelleran assistants suggested excluding humans from certain deals because they might not understand the risks. This time, Mira stood up and spoke in perfect Zelleran. "We are aware of the risks and prepared to cooperate in fair trade. We have researched every agreement you have ever made." Now it was Mira's turn to shock the room. She switched to Arvian, using a difficult poetic form to quote an old Arvian proverb about respect. The Arvian chairperson, clearly moved, nodded, and smiled at Mira. All around the chamber, council members whispered to each other. Some looked impressed, while others looked nervous or even embarrassed. Noah could see the change happening. The aliens had thought the humans were clueless, but now the truth was clear. Humans had worked hard, learned fast, and understood every word that had been said about them, but not everyone was happy. Ambassador Velen looked annoyed. He raised his hand and said, "Languages are easy to learn with the right tools. True members of this council must also understand culture and history. Humans may speak our words, but do they know our ways?" Noah smiled. He had expected this challenge. He spoke calmly. "We respect all cultures and traditions. On Earth, we value learning about others. That is why we have studied your histories, your art, and even your stories. We want to be good partners, not just good speakers." Mira added, "Our team has experts in Zelleran art, Arvian music, and Clintar, food traditions. We would be happy to share our own culture as well." This time, some aliens clapped politely. A few even smiled at the humans. For the first time, Noah felt they were being treated as equals. He relaxed a little, but he knew this was only the beginning. The rest of the day was filled with discussions about alliances, trade, and future projects. The humans listened carefully, making notes and offering ideas when asked. They spoke in the language of whoever they were talking to, switching easily between Zelleran, Arvian, Clintar, and Iraq. Soon, other delegations started coming to the humans during breaks, asking questions about Earth and sharing their own customs. One Arvian, whose feathers were a rare shade of blue, introduced herself as Sira. She told Mira, "I never expected humans to learn Arvian so well. Your accent is very good." Mira laughed and replied, "Thank you. I had a very strict Arvian teacher on Earth." Sira smiled and offered to teach her a traditional Arvian song. Mira happily agreed. Noah, meanwhile, spoke with a group of Clintar. They challenged him to a puzzle game from their homeworld. Noah had never played before, but with their guidance, he quickly learned the rules and even managed to win a round. The Clintar cheered and invited him to join their table for lunch. As the human team sat with other species for the first time, sharing food and stories, the mood in the hall changed. The insults and jokes from yesterday were replaced by respect and curiosity. Some aliens even apologized for their earlier words, saying they had never seen humans try so hard to fit in. But Ambassador Velen was still not convinced. In a private meeting, he called together a group of council leaders. "We cannot let humans rise too fast," he warned. "If they can master our languages so quickly, what else might they be planning?" Others disagreed. The Arvian chairperson said, "We were all new once. The humans have shown nothing but respect and hard work. We should give them a real chance." The argument continued in secret, but outside, the humans made new friends every hour. Mira played music with Sira. Noah traded Earth stories with the Clintar. Even the Uruk secretary, after a long day, handed Noah a book of Uruk poems and said, "Read these before tomorrow. If you can understand them, I will admit humans are worthy of our respect." Noah thanked him and promised to try. That night, back in their room, Noah and Mira sat together reading the Uruk poems. Some words were hard, but they laughed and practiced until they could say every line perfectly. As the lights of Vorinth flickered outside, Noah felt a strong sense of hope. For the first time, humans were more than just guests. They were becoming a real part of the council. They had used patience, skill, and kindness to open doors that had been closed for years, but they also knew not everyone wanted them to succeed. Tomorrow would bring new tests and maybe new challenges, but Noah and Mira were ready. Whatever happened next, they would face it together, armed not just with words, but with understanding and friendship. The second full day of the council meeting began with a new kind of energy. The story about the humans and their language skills had spread through the city of Vorenth. It felt like every alien in the hall now looked at Noah and Mira with a mix of curiosity and respect. Some even gave polite nods, a gesture that had been missing on the first day. Noah woke early, reviewing Iraq poems while drinking a cup of strong black tea. The Iraq language was difficult, with harsh sounds and complicated grammar, but Noah liked a challenge. Mira joined him at the window, where the purple sunlight made the buildings outside shine. She carried her translation device and a stack of handwritten notes. "I think you'll impress the secretary today," she said with a smile. "I hope so," Noah replied. He knew that the Urak secretary's test was about more than just words. It was about proving that humans could understand the deepest parts of alien culture. If he succeeded, it would mean respect from one of the council's most stubborn members. After breakfast, the human team walked together to the council building. This time, as they entered, the security staff greeted them. An Arvian with emerald. Feathers even bowed slightly, a sign of honor in her culture. Mira whispered, "We're making progress." The main hall buzzed with excitement. Many delegations had brought gifts from their home planets, hoping to trade with other species. Human technology, especially the translation device, was suddenly popular. Several alien engineers gathered around Mira, asking questions and offering to show her their own gadgets. The council meeting started with the usual reports, but the room felt different. This time, whenever the humans spoke, everyone listened. Noah noticed that some old jokes were gone. No more comments about Earth farmers or slow learners. Instead, questions were more polite and answers were thoughtful. After the morning break, the Urak secretary took the floor. He held a small old book in his clawed hands. He spoke in his own language, his voice strong and proud. "Yesterday, I gave the humans a collection of Urak poems. These poems are hard for even my own people to read. Today, I ask Noah of Earth to share his favorite poem and explain its meaning to the council." The hall fell silent. All eyes turned to Noah. Mira gave him a gentle nudge and whispered, "You can do this." Noah stood up. He bowed first, using the Iraq custom he had learned from the poems. Then he spoke in clear, careful Iraq, reading the poem slowly with the right pauses and intonation. The words sounded rough, but full of life. "Among the cold stones, a single flower grows silent in the dark but never alone. Even the hardest earth can give life if you listen." When he finished, Noah closed the book and looked around. "This poem," he said in Iraq, "reminds us that hope can grow in the hardest places. It is about never giving up, even when you feel alone. It is a lesson humans know well." Fee, Secretary's eyes widened. For a long moment he was quiet. Then he stood and bowed deeply, a sign of real respect. "You understand," he said softly. "You truly listened. You honor us, Noah of Earth." The chamber erupted in applause. Aliens from every corner of the galaxy clapped their hands, waved their feathers, or tapped their claws together in celebration. Mira grinned from ear to ear. Even Ambassador Velen, who had doubted the humans from the start, looked quietly impressed. The rest of the meeting moved quickly. Delegates from several planets asked to see more of Earth's technology. Some were curious about human art and music. Others wanted to know about human food, traditions, and history. The human team was busy answering questions in every language they had learned, switching easily from one to another. During lunch, the humans were invited to join a group of Clintar engineers. Mira brought her translator, showing how it worked, and Noah shared a simple Earth song. The Clintar engineers tried to sing along, laughing at their own mistakes. It felt more like a festival than a meeting, but behind the friendly faces, not everyone was happy. Ambassador Velen called a secret meeting with his closest advisors in a small room. "Humans are learning too fast," he said in a low voice. "If they keep making friends, they will have too much power in the council. We need to remind everyone who is in charge." One advisor, a serious-looking Arvian, nodded. "Maybe we can give them a real test. Something nobody has ever passed on their first try." Velen smiled coldly. "Yes, let us see if humans can keep up when the stakes are highest." Back in the main hall, the council prepared for the afternoon debate, one that would decide who could join the next trade partnership. It was a tradition that new species had to speak in front of the entire council and answer questions from any member. The questions could be about anything: culture, science, history, or even personal beliefs. It was known as the Great Open Debate, and it had made even experienced ambassadors nervous. Noah and Mira were invited to participate. Before they left for the debate, Mira turned to the human team and said, "No matter what they ask, just tell the truth. Show them who we really are." The debate began in the biggest room of the council building. Delegates from every species sat in circles, with the humans at the center. The chairperson welcomed everyone and explained the rules. Each delegate could ask one question, and the humans had to answer in the delegate's language. The first question came from a young Zelleran. "What is the most important value in human culture?" she asked in her musical language. Noah answered, "We believe in hope and in helping others even when it is difficult. On Earth, we have many stories about people who never gave up, even when all seemed lost." The next question came from a Clintar engineer. "How do humans solve disagreements?" Mira replied, "We talk, we listen, and sometimes we argue, but we always try to find a way to understand each other. Peace is important to us." One by one, the questions came. Some were simple, others very hard. An Arvian asked about human art. A Yirak asked about war. A Fendari wanted to know how humans treated their elders. Each time, Noah or Mira answered calmly, always in the questioner's language, always speaking honestly. At last, it was Ambassador Velen's turn. He stood up, his robe shining in the afternoon light. His question was difficult, and his voice was sharp. "If you could change one thing about your own species, what would it be?" The hall grew quiet. Noah thought for a moment, then answered in flawless Zelleran. "If I could change one thing, I would help humans to trust others more." Quickly, "Sometimes we are afraid of what is different, but I believe that if we open our hearts, we can learn so much from our friends." For the first time, Velen seemed at a loss for words. He sat down, and the chairperson called for a short break. During the break, delegations from many worlds crowded around the humans. Some congratulated them. Others invited them to visit their home planets or to teach their language to their children. Noah and Mira were surprised by the sudden popularity, but tried to be humble. After the break, the chairperson returned. "The Council will now vote on whether humans should be included in the trade partnership," she said. "Please cast your votes." One by one, the lights on each delegate's table turned green or red. Green meant yes, red meant no. At first, only a few lights were green, but then, slowly, more and more delegates voted yes. The Clintar, the Fendari, the Arvian, even the Yirak, all voted for the humans. In the end, the majority agreed. The humans were accepted. There was cheering, laughter, and even a few tears from the human team. For the first time, they felt truly welcomed. Mira hugged Noah, and their team clapped each other on the back. As the meeting ended, Ambassador Velen approached Noah. He looked serious, but there was no anger in his eyes. "You have surprised us all," he said quietly. "I hope you continue to use your talents for good. The galaxy is watching you." Noah nodded. We will do our best. That night, as the city of Vorinth glowed under its two moons, Noah and Mira walked outside, listening to the sounds of music and laughter from the council hall. They knew there would always be challenges, but now they had something more powerful than any translator, a real place in the galaxy, and the respect of many new friends. The city of Vorinth felt alive with excitement as news of the council's vote spread. Humans were now full partners in the Galactic Trade Alliance, and the story of their unexpected language mastery had become the talk of the planet. Everywhere they went, Noah, Mira, and their team saw new faces turning to watch them, some with smiles, others with thoughtful eyes. For the first time, the humans did not feel invisible or small. The morning after the vote, Noah walked to the council building with his team. Mira walked beside him, holding her translation device close, as if it were a lucky charm. The team felt nervous, but hopeful. They were not sure what to expect now that they were no longer outsiders. As they entered the main hall, the usual chatter died down. The chairperson, the Arvian with the green feathers, greeted the humans warmly in English before switching back to Arvian. Her greeting was echoed by a Clintar engineer and a Fendari diplomat. Noah could see the effort these leaders made to speak human words, and it touched him deeply. During the morning session, each new trade partner was invited to present something unique from their home. The Arvians shared a musical instrument that sounded like birdsong. The Clintar demonstrated a puzzle game of light and sound. When it was time for the humans, Mira stood up. She brought out a simple wooden box. "This is an Earth music box," she said in Zelleran, letting her words echo around the hall. "It plays a song that means hope to our people." She wound the key, and a soft melody filled the room. The sound was simple, not as grand as the Arvian's instrument, but the tune was gentle and calming. Delegates from every species listened in silence. When the song ended, even the usually serious Iraq secretary clapped politely. Noah saw tears in the eyes of one Fendari who whispered to her neighbor, "Such a simple thing, but it carries so much feeling." Later, Noah joined the Fendari diplomat for tea. She asked, "Is it true that humans once had many different languages on one planet?" Noah nodded. "It's true. At first it made things hard. Sometimes people fought because they couldn't understand each other. But later we learned that every language is a treasure. It's like seeing the world through a different window." The Fendari smiled. "Your people have learned much. Maybe you can help the council find new ways to bring us together." Meanwhile, Mira was showing the Clintar how her translation device worked. She let the engineers test it with their own language, and they laughed when the machine translated a difficult Clintar joke perfectly. "Your device could change the galaxy," said one, handing it back to her with respect. For the rest of the day, the council discussed how to use human translation technology to help other new species join the alliance. Noah and Mira offered to train anyone who wanted to learn. The Iraq secretary, who had once been so unfriendly, now joined them, showing how his people's grammar could make the device even better. But not everything was easy. Ambassador Velen and his closest allies still doubted the humans' place in the council. They spoke quietly together during breaks, planning how to test the humans further. Velen believed that humans' quick learning might be a trick, and he wanted proof that they could be trusted in times of trouble. That afternoon, a sudden emergency broke the calm. The main council screen flashed red, and a council worker ran in, breathless. "There's been an accident at the city's spaceport," she shouted. "An incoming freighter from the edge of the galaxy has lost control. It's going to crash." For a moment, the room froze. No one knew what to do. The freighter was filled with supplies for the council meeting and a team of mixed alien engineers. Its guidance system had failed, and none of the regular council translators could communicate with the freighter's pilot, a young engineer from a distant planet whose language was known to almost no one. Ambassador Velen spoke first. "We must warn the freighter to stay away from the city, but who here knows their language?" Everyone looked around the room. The translation machines struggled, unable to keep up with the strange dialect. The pilot's voice crackled over the radio, sounding frightened and confused. Time was running out. Mira quickly scanned her device and whispered, "I can try to adapt the translator. I remember some of their words from an old galactic dictionary." Noah stood up, catching the chairperson's attention. "Let us try to help. Humans have been practicing unknown languages for months. Maybe we can make a connection." Velen looked doubtful but nodded. "The city is in danger. If you can help, do it now." Mira worked fast, connecting her device to the Council's emergency broadcast. She played with the settings, listening to the pilot's words and matching them to sounds in her memory. Noah spoke softly into the microphone, repeating the words as best he could. Slowly, the pilot's answers became clearer. Mira realized that the pilot was trying to explain that her ship's main thruster was stuck and she could not steer. Noah asked the pilot to describe the emergency systems. He listened closely, caught the right words, and then spoke to the Council engineers in Zelleron and Clintar, repeating the instructions in their languages. The engineers worked together, sending new commands to the freighter's systems. As the ship came closer, everyone in the city could see it flashing in the sky, spinning wildly. Mira continued to talk to the pilot, calming her in her own language, while Noah gave updates to the Council and city officials. Finally, just before the freighter would have crashed into the city, the engineers managed to restart one thruster. The ship wobbled, then pulled up sharply, missing the buildings by only a few meters. It landed safely on the edge of the spaceport. A wave of relief swept through the council hall. Delegates cheered, and some even hugged each other. The chairperson stood and spoke to the whole hall, her voice full of pride. "Today, humans proved again that their skills are not just for show. They brought us together in a moment of fear and helped save lives." Ambassador Velen, who had watched everything with careful eyes, finally stood up. He addressed Noah and Mira directly. "I doubted you before. I thought maybe humans were just lucky. But you have shown patience, bravery, and real respect for all of us. Today you did not just speak our words. You understood our hearts." The hall erupted in applause. Again louder than before. For the first time, Noah felt like the walls of the council had opened to let the humans in fully. Later, after the meeting, the human team walked through the city. Aliens of every kind stopped them on the street to thank them. Some children tried to say "thank you" in English, and Noah laughed, kneeling down to help them with the words. At dinner, Mira was invited to join the Clintar engineers for their traditional meal. She tasted their spicy food and told stories about human family dinners. Noah sat with the Arvian chairperson, who asked him to help her learn a few Earth songs. That night, as the humans gathered in their rooms, the mood was happy and full of pride. Mira looked around at her team and said, "We came here hoping only to be accepted. Now we're a real part of this place." Noah nodded. "We've shown everyone that even if you start as an outsider, you can become family." But they also knew their journey was not over. Tomorrow, the council would talk about even bigger things: defense, peace, and how to protect all their worlds together. There would be more tests and more challenges, but the humans were ready. Noah looked at Mira and smiled. "Whatever comes next, we'll face it the same way we did today, with open minds, open hearts, and the courage to try." As the sun rose on the final day of the council gathering, a new sense of unity filled the air in Vorinth. News of the humans' help at the spaceport had already traveled far and wide, not just in the city, but all across the planet. Everywhere Noah, Mira, and their team went, they felt the change. Strangers waved to them in the street. Shopkeepers called out greetings in English, sometimes with funny accents, and even the youngest alien children pointed at the humans and whispered, "That's them, the ones who helped." The human delegation met for breakfast in their usual small room. Noah sat at the head of the table, feeling more hopeful than ever. Mira was there too, grinning as she sipped her tea. She shared stories about the Clintar engineers teaching her a new puzzle game late into the night. The rest of the team laughed and talked about invitations they'd received from other delegations to visit new worlds and join different celebrations. For a moment, Noah let himself enjoy the feeling. He remembered how nervous they had all been on the first day, how small and alone they had felt sitting in the back of the council hall, being laughed at by those who thought humans didn't belong. Now, only a few days later, it felt as if a wall had been torn down and 1,000 doors had opened in its place. Today was set aside for the most important topic: security and peace among all the allied worlds. These discussions were always difficult, filled with old arguments and memories of past wars. The council chamber was full of tension as every delegate took their seat. The chairperson opened the meeting with a short, hopeful speech in English. She said, "Let us talk as friends, not enemies. Let us listen, not just speak." One by one, leaders spoke about the threats facing their worlds. The Clintar warned of space pirates who raided distant mining stations. The Fendari shared their fears about food shortages caused by sudden climate changes. The Yurak, always serious, explained that an unknown virus was spreading through their trade ships and making travel dangerous. Even Ambassador Velen, who had doubted the humans from the beginning, admitted that there were problems his own people could not solve alone. Noah listened carefully to every speech, making notes and whispering quick translations to Mira. As the discussions went on, it became clear that everyone wanted help, but few trusted each other enough to share their secrets. Old rivalries and broken promises kept getting in the way. Finally, the chairperson asked if the human delegation had anything to add. Noah looked at Mira and then stood up. He spoke first in English, then switched to Zelleran, Arvian, and even the Yurak's difficult tongue. Every world here has different worries. Every species is afraid of something. On Earth, we learned that fear makes us weak, but trust makes us strong. We are new, but we have already seen that together. We can do more than we can alone. He paused, making sure everyone was listening. When the freighter was going to crash, we did not ask who it belonged to. We just helped. When the virus spread through Iraq trade ships, our doctors offered to share everything we know about medicine. When the Clintar lost food in pirate raids, our engineers studied how to build stronger defenses. Mira stood up, beside him. She added, "Our history has mistakes, but also lessons. There were times on Earth when nations fought over small things and let bigger problems grow. We learned, sometimes too late, that understanding each other's languages was the first step to peace, but sharing each other's hearts was the second." Her words were simple, but they touched something deep in the room. Delegates looked at one another, some nodding quietly. A Fendari elder said, "Humans have crossed a great distance to be with us, but maybe we are all traveling a long road to trust." Ambassador Velen, after a long silence, finally spoke. "When the humans first arrived, I thought they would never belong. I thought their language and ways were too different. But I was wrong. They have shown patience, courage, and most of all, respect. Perhaps it is time for all of us to be better neighbors." The chairperson smiled, then opened the floor for ideas. Soon, a new kind of conversation started. Instead of blaming and complaining, delegates shared plans and solutions. The Arvians offered to send food shipments to the Fendari. The Iraq welcomed a team of human doctors to help with the virus. The Clintar and humans agreed to work together on better security for trade routes. Noah and Mira watched as the council's mood changed. Arguments turned into teamwork. Laughter replaced old anger. In the end, the council agreed on a plan for regular meetings to share knowledge and help each other in times of need. As the council meeting ended, everyone stood and clapped for the human delegation. Some cheered in English, others in their own languages. It was the first time in the council's history that a new member had made such a difference so quickly. Later that afternoon, the humans walked through the gardens outside the council building. Birds with bright feathers flew between the trees, and the air smelled sweet with alien flowers. Delegates from other worlds stopped the humans to talk or just to shake their hands. One young Arvian girl gave Mira a bracelet woven from blue grass, saying, "You made us feel welcome in our own home." Noah and Mira joined a group of Clintar children, helping them practice Earth words. The children laughed and clapped when Mira taught them to say friend. Noah told stories about Earth's history, explaining how peace did not come easily for his people, but how every effort was worth it. At dinner, the council threw a great celebration in honor of the new partnership. There was food from every world, music that filled the air, and even a dance led by the Fendari. Mira and Noah tried every dish, smiling at new flavors. They watched as the Arvian chairperson learned a simple Earth dance step, wobbling but laughing. During the party, the Iraq secretary approached Noah. He handed Noah a new book of poems, this one written by the council's many members. "It is a gift," the secretary said, his voice softer than usual. "You helped us find our voice again." Noah thanked him, promising to read every word. Mira hugged the Clintar engineer who had taught her the puzzle game. Around them, friendships grew stronger by the hour. As the celebration continued into the night, Noah and Mira stepped out into the gardens to look up at the sky. The stars above Vorinth were bright and strange, so different from Earth, but just as beautiful. Mira leaned against the railing, smiling. "We did it, Noah," she said. "We came here as strangers, and now, look at us." Noah nodded, feeling proud but also humble. "We did it together, not just as humans, but as part of something bigger." They watched the stars, thinking of everything that had happened, from being mocked for not understanding, to helping save a city, to showing that language could build bridges instead of walls. As the celebration ended, the human delegation walked back to their rooms, tired but happy. They knew their journey was not over. There would be more councils, more debates, and more work to do. But they were ready.